Hi guys, it's Miss Simon. I know you can't see me right now, but that's okay. I'm just gonna do this quick video today to kind of review for grammar, okay? I'm gonna mostly be using the PowerPoint, so that's why you can't really see me right now, because we're just reviewing the skill we've been working with last week with those verbs be and have, okay? Remember, be and have can be used as main verbs. In a sentence, they can be used as helping verbs, and they must agree. They have to have subject-verb agreement, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen with you, and then we're gonna kind of go through a few notes, and then we'll do some examples, and then you guys will complete a Google form for today. Okay, so on your screen, you should see we are reviewing, sorry guys, we are reviewing the verbs be and have, okay? So the be, like I said, the verbs be and have can be used as main verbs or helping verbs in a sentence, and a verb and its subject must agree and number. They're also irregular verbs, meaning we can't just add ed to the end of them when they change tense, okay? The whole verb changes, okay? So go ahead and write this down. The verbs be and have can be used as main verbs or helping verbs. They must agree and number, and they are irregular. Okay. And that's all a review, guys. We have been talking about that. We talked about that all last week. Okay. And what that means, it must agree in number. Okay, so if you have a singular subject, your verb of be or have must be singular. If it is a plural subject, your verb be or have must be plural. All right, moving on. Okay, so this right here is kind of your guide to help you with that subject-verb agreement, okay? So here we see all of our singular subjects. So I, you, he, she, it, okay? All of these are singular because they're only talking about one person, okay? If we're using our form of be in the present tense, which means it's happening now, okay? Be becomes am. In the past tense, it would become was. Okay, and then we have have or had. Okay. And then you, if your subject is you, present tense would be are, past tense would be were, and then again with have, it'd just be have and had. He, she, it, we have is, was, has, and had. Okay. And those are all your singular. So we see single one person, meaning that your verb of be or have also needs to be singular. And a lot of us realize that already, but this is kind of the grammatical rule for it. And then we have plural subjects, plural meaning more than one. So we, you, they, including more than one person. I know a lot of you might be looking at you and going, well, how is that plural? But in grammar, we consider you a plural subject, okay? So since these are plural, now our verb has to change to match plural, okay? So we are or were, okay? We don't say we is, okay? We have we are becomes plural. We also have were for talking the past tense. And then have is still have and had, okay? Have kind of stays the same for both singular and plural. The only difference is your he, she, it there, which we see. Okay. So this right here, guys, like I said, is going to kind of be your guide. So I would have this pulled up when you're doing your practice. Also, I'm going to kind of make a copy of this and attach it in the assignment so you guys can have it. I would highly advise you to write it down in your grammar notebook, but if you do not, like I said, I will make a slide of it so it is handy for you. If we were in class, I would have printed this out and have you guys kind of glue it in your grammar notes. All right, so this is review, so we're just gonna kind of do a few examples, making sure our subject matches our verb, okay? So if it's a singular subject, it needs to be a singular verb. If it's a plural subject, it needs to be a plural verb, Okay, so let's look at this first one here. It says, choose the correct form of be or have shown in parentheses. Okay, so Francis is or are a skilled tracker. Okay, well, many of you might already know, hey, Miss Simon, that has to be is. Okay, but why? Well, if we look at Francis here, Francis is singular. Okay, so since my subject is singular, I must have a singular verb. Well, which of these is singular, is or are? Okay, we know is going to be our singular verb, so that's the one that's going to make sense there. And if we read that sentence, we can check that. Francis is a skilled tracker. That makes sense. If we read Francis are a skilled tracker, we already know that that does not sound right, and Francis is singular, so you must have a singular verb. All right, let's look at number 2. Mike has or have survived many blizzards. Well, our subject is Mike. Mike is a singular subject. So which of these verbs is going to be singular, has or have? If you chose has, you were correct. Mike has survived many blizzards. Okay. Number 3, is you familiar with this story? Is you familiar with this story? Well, let's look at our subject. Our subject in this sentence is going to be you, which if we go back to our other slide, we can see that you is plural, so it needs to be are. Okay, so are you familiar with this story? Okay, and we can read that sentence and know that are is going to make sense, okay? But the rule is, since I have that plural subject of you, my verb also needs to be plural, which is going to be are. All right, go ahead and do number 4 and number 5. Take a minute and do those on your own before we review them. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Lottie and Bill. Is or are children? Well, Lottie and Billy. Okay, Lottie and Billy, that's more than one subject. That's 2 subjects, so that's going to be plural. Okay, so since our subjects are plural, our verb also needs to be plural. So that's going to be are children. And number 5, they, obviously we know already, they is going to be plural. So since our subject is plural, our verb also needs to be plural. So they has lived in a small town, or they have lived in a small town. We know that since our subject, they, is plural, our verb needs to be plural, and have is going to be the plural form of have there. Okay, so they have lived in a small house. All right, guys, so hopefully this was helpful. Okay, again, it is a pretty easy skill, but we also need to know it's not just because it sounds right, it's because it is grammatically correct. If our subject is singular, we need a singular verb. If our subject is plural, we need a plural verb, okay? So hopefully this was helpful, and hope you guys have a great day.